Welcome back to The Great Expanse by JohnBat426 here on YouTube. It is always a pleasure to record these videos, to edit them, put my unique spin on them. Well, you've clicked on the thumbnail, you know what this is about. X-Men 97, it is forging ahead, no pun intended, by using the word forge. It's full steam ahead. We are right back in the mix. We know exactly why the X-Men is the greatest superhero group in Marvel Comics. Now, a lot of people can argue that the Justice League is greater, but to me, the Justice League is not a cohesive organism. It is just a bunch of solo acts that just come together and fight for a united cause. The X-Men are a family. They've been taken in by Charles Xavier in Westchester, New York, from all over the world. They were diverse before diversity became the forced order of the day. We had Colossus from Russia, the incredible Nightcrawler, Kurt Wagner from Germany. We had Wolverine, James Logan Howlett from Canada. We had Storm, who represents Africa, even though she's from New York originally. We had Rogue and Gambit, who are Southerners. Rogue is kind of that busty Southern belle. Hey, sugar. You know, okay, forget I did that. Please forgive me. We had from the Bayou, we had Gambit, Remy LeBeau, a member of the Thieves Guild. So we're talking about a diverse cast. Jubilee, who's Asian. Sunfire, Shiro, who's also Asian. I think he's Japanese. Roberto da Costa, Sunspot. We had Warpath, a part of the original X-Men. John Proudstar, who was Native American. So the X-Men were always a diverse group, but they were always a diverse family. Taken in by Charles Xavier, as I said before. So in my opinion, the X-Men is the greatest comic book group ever created. Alright, so let's just get right into the episode. And again, I literally just finished watching it, so maybe some of my facts are off, maybe I missed key details, but guess what? This is a review. Basically, it's a reaction after the watch. So maybe some things I've missed because I haven't watched it twice while I'm going over it. Do you accept these terms? Thank you. Well, anyway, this is called Lifedeath Part 2. That's the name of the entire episode. Now remember, Lifedeath Part 1 was a part of episode 4. It was like a slash episode. It was Motendo, then Lifedeath Part 1. And this one starts out very interesting. Now, I was watching the opening credits, and sometimes I don't like watching the opening credits because I noticed little nuances in the opening crawl. And I saw Charles Xavier kissing Lilandra. Now, in the comic books, yes, I'm going to refer back to the comic books because that's where X-Men 97 comes from. The source material is the comic books as well as the cartoon. They go hand in hand, okay? And I saw her kiss him, and I said, I always knew that Charles Xavier wasn't dead. Okay, he was mortally wounded, and Earth's technology was limited. There was nothing that they could do on Earth to save him. The only person that could have done something was Apocalypse, but Apocalypse, of course, did not have a corporeal form. He did not have a physical form, okay? No, yes he did. I apologize, I'm wrong, because in the Fifth Horseman, he was reincarnated in the body of Fabian Cortez. But, of course, they would never go to Apocalypse for that kind of a Faustian deal, because Apocalypse is like the devil. But Charles Xavier is whisked away to the Shi'ar Empire, and that's where he's been for a year, okay? Now, the X-Men know he's not dead, okay, because they saw him fly off, okay, and he gave them that mental message. So this one picks up with Lilandra addressing the throne world, okay? I don't remember the name of the throne world, okay? And she introduces her consort. Now, remember, they're in the middle of a battle, okay, with the Kree. And you can usually tell the Kree because they have that little like fin on the top of their helmets or whatever. That was Ronan the Accuser, the one Kree that stood out. I noticed that immediately because of his green and yellow form and the hammer. Okay. And right after, Deathbird like stuck her heel into his temple, like she killed him. Whatever. The Empress Lilandra appears and says she's getting married. Now, as soon as she said that, I was thinking Charles Xavier, duh. So this individual in a very regal golden armor with a purple tunic underneath with a cape looks very awesome. And I said, wow, Charles. I knew it immediately. But it was, his introduction was still... If you assume that he was dead based on the course of the series so far, the season so far, you were probably shocked that it was Charles. All right? But I thought it was just a good introduction, a good reintroduction as to who Charles Xavier is and the fact that he is still alive and kicking, even though his legs don't work. Okay. So basically, this is where the strife begins in this half of the episode. Okay, because it's basically there are two plots running. Charles Xavier is introduced, and we're also following up on Storm and Forge, who have been, I'm gonna say, assailed by what I believe is a psychic creature called the Adversary that looks like a hideous sort of owl. And if I remember correctly, in the previous episode, Remember It, okay, where Gambit apparently bit the big one, I thought I saw in the mind of Madeline Pryor and Cable a flash of that same adversary, that same owl creature. I could be wrong, but I thought I saw a flash of that creature. So, if this adversary is the one that's launching the attack on the X-Men, that launched the attack in Genosha, this adversary obviously is serious, okay? I mean, this is a serious adversary. But anyway, Storm is patching up Forge, okay? Because Forge was bitten and he was infected by the adversary, okay? Now, I don't know what the extent of that infection would have led to. Maybe it would just like reach his heart and cause it to stop, or maybe he would have been like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a host for the adversary? I don't know. And again, it's hard to tell whether or not the adversary is a physical creature or not. I'm gonna get to it though, all right? And basically, it seems like the adversary is discouraging Storm from trying to save Forge, you know, because like while she's like, I think, is she on a horse? I don't remember. See, that quickly, I can't remember the details. It was like the adversary was like in her ear, like, why are you trying to save him when he's the one that like robbed you of your powers by creating those collars for the government? Remember he said that in episode 4 that he was responsible for it? So Storm is basically having to fight off this demon, the adversary, okay? And Forge uses some of his magic powers. Forge is also adept at magic. So when they showed it, I thought that was kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he's versatile. Not only is he brilliant, not only is he advanced scientific mind, as well as a mutant, but he also has magic in the mix. So think about it. So Forge, on a bad day or an evil day, he could be Doctor Doom. Right? Think about it. All right, let's move on. So the adversary is saying, you can't do this. And Forge says, I know you have a fear, because they ride off to a mine, okay? M-I-N-E. And Forge says, I know you don't like tight places. I'm glad they introduced that, okay? Because in the comic books, yes, a comic book reference, Storm is incurably claustrophobic. That is a fear of tight spaces, okay? So the fact that she did this, it was not a small deal, okay? The fact is that I almost lost my train of thought there, okay? Because I read something on the computer. Shame on you! But it's a big deal, okay? So I'm glad they introduced that to help round out the character of Storm, okay? So she had to crawl through this small area. Whenever I see that, I always think of The Shawshank Redemption, when Andy Dufresne had to crawl through, as Morgan Freeman's character put it, to crawl through 500 yards of a river of to get to freedom, you know. Tim Robbins' Andy Dufresne character standing in the rain, which is a great, iconic shot. So she had to crawl through this thing to get this flower to make an antidote to destroy the poison, okay? But then in the midst of her being in this closed-in place, because she had to like climb up, whatever, and she dropped the flashlight, I may have missed this, but something in her mind went off. And she said that she believed the lie that her powers hadn't returned. So she said it wasn't just the neutralizer that the executioner used on her, but she said it was a lie she believed. Maybe the adversary planted that in her mind. I'm lost on that point, because maybe I have to rewatch it, okay? But then all of a sudden she has this epic transformation. She's in her original outfit with the long hair, with the black headdress, with the revealing outfit. And then all of a sudden she's like creating this funnel cloud that reaches up into the fringe of space. It was very epic. There's like lightning going on. And it looks like she destroys the adversary, because when she like rockets up into the upper atmosphere, I thought I saw feathers. I was like, wait, did she physically destroy a psychic creature? That's why I said I was not sure whether or not the adversary had a physical form or if it was just a psychic creature. So Storm is just like flying, like it's really epic. This is a very epic scene for Storm, and it was great to see her get her shine. And she returns to Forge, and she's earlier in the episode she's saying like my love and stuff. So I'm like, all right, so they're going full ahead with Storm and Forge as a couple, which is comic book accurate. All right, so I'm not being a comic book purist, but that is a reference to the comic books. Alright. In the meantime, in the far-off Shi'ar Empire, Deathbird, I don't know why she was reincorporated back into the Shi'ar Empire, because she tried to take over the Shi'ar Empire in season 4 of X-Men the Animated Series in the 90s. She teamed up with Apocalypse, so Apocalypse could, like, she thought that Apocalypse was going to put her on the throne, but really he just kidnapped the Psychic and he had his own thing going on. So the fact that she was fighting with Guardian, you know, the super powerful Superman-esque alien, I was like, so Lilandra reintroduced her back into the fold? I didn't get that. But she's challenging Professor X. Like, you can't, because Professor X wanted to at least go home and visit, okay? And he basically says to Lilandra, can't you rule the Shi'ar Empire from Earth? Because Charles Xavier, his heart is with his children, okay? He might love Lilandra, he might have loved Moira McTaggart, he might have loved Amelia Vaught, but his purpose, his true love, is his children, the children of the X-Men, all right? So he said that he will take this test. I forgot what the name of the test was, which is going to purge him of his memories of the X-Men. Now I was thinking in the back of my mind, maybe he was going to create like a sort of like a sub-persona, almost like Batman of Zor, what's it called? In Batman R.I.P., he created another persona in case like Batman was compromised. Batman of Zor-N-R, I think it's called, Zor-N-R. So I'm thinking maybe Professor X is going to create like an alternate persona, so that if anything happened to his higher brain functions, this persona would take over. Because I was like this, he does not want to purge himself of the memories of the X-Men or of his friend Magneto. He even said that. Okay. So while this is going on, he gets like he takes them to school, literally in their mind, because Charles Xavier is a powerful psychic. All the doubting Shi'ar, Lilandra herself, Guardian, and Deathbird are all in a psychic classroom created by Charles Xavier. But the class is interrupted by a blast. Now we know what the blast was about. It's from the previous episode when Genosha was assaulted by this Sentinel creature thingy. Okay, I don't know what it is, but it dispatched all these things. So the blast happens, and everyone in his psychic vision are rendered like skeletons. It's almost like Terminator 2, when Sarah Connor was having those visions of like children on the playground. Then all of a sudden, a flash hits, and they're like skeletons. And then she's like hanging onto the gate. She turns into a skeleton herself. So it reminded me of that. And then this huge, like, apparition of Gambit appears, and I'm like, Gambit, the big one. And even Professor X was like, Gambit? Like, are you responsible for this? But then Gambit turns into a skeleton. So Charles knows there's an assault on his children, the X-Men, and he must return to them. And that's basically the end of the episode. This was another fire episode. Every episode this season, to me, has been fire. It's been B+ and up. Okay, I gave the last one an A+. This is another solid episode. Great dialogue, great character development. And character development is a term that's always kind of misused. But this is real character development. We see Storm. We see what her greatest fear is. It says like living as a human. But also there's a comic book flaw that was introduced into the cartoon about her being incurably claustrophobic. So we see her lows and we see her high. We see her regain the power. We see her fight off the adversary mentally and physically, it looks like. And then she's in her original garb, flying, and just like the queen of climate, I guess you'd call her that. So this is real character development. We see her and Forge becoming closer. That is character development. We see Professor Xavier in the Shi'ar Empire wanting to be with Lilandra that he really loves, but also his love for his children. And so he takes a leap of faith. He says, okay, I will expunge my memories of the X-Men to show my loyalty in this test. Okay, that was proposed by Deathbird and I think somebody else on the Shi'ar Council. This is character development for Charles Xavier. So then when he has this vision, I guess, in his mind, like this psychic like wave or whatever, his heart says, I can't be with Lilandra, the woman I love. I have to be with my children. That is character development. This episode is just another in a great season so far. And I don't foresee things like falling off a cliff and everything being garbage from here on out. I don't foresee that happening. This was episode 6, so we've got 7, 8, 9, and 10 left. We've got 4 more episodes, and it feels like it's just so short that it's only 10. Because I think back in the day it was like 15 or something episodes per season. So it feels like I'm being cheated, but not really, because the quality is just so good. Bring back Bo DeMaio. Bring back Bo DeMaio. Now, if you like this video, if you like my review, my retort, my recall, my recap, no cap, hit the like button. Share the video with other people that you know that love the X-Men, that love X-Men 97, that want to talk about it. Leave a comment down below, David Brent style. Leave a comment or a dissertation if necessary. All right? Do your part, I'll do my part, so that the great expanse, emphasis on X, will expand. It's in the name.